Elections and Election Policy Committee meeting to order. Representative Fenton, have you had a chance to look at the minutes from March 16th?
I haven't, so I move the minutes from March 16th.
Thank you, Representative Fenton. Any discussion to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes from March 16th, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are adopted. Who's up first? All right. With that, we will welcome Representative Petersburg to the testifiers table for House File 2270. All in favor of the DE1 to put the bill in the shape the author wishes, please say aye. 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 Opposed? The DE1 is adopted. Representative Petersburg, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. Thank you for hearing this bill. This bill really is a grassroots bill. It has started not much more grassroots than in the 6th grade in Owatonna Public School system, and I have 6 testifiers that would like to testify in regards to that. But if I could give just a little bit of background before they get started. With the Capitol under construction, and pretty much off limits to field trips, a lot of schools have done some research on the Capitol, which included Miss Jennifer Hansen, the teacher, and they came up with a lot of research and questions about the Capitol and questions about how come the Cornerstone has the name of Cass Gilbert and all of the officials that did it, but nothing to commemorate all of the workers that actually built the Capitol along with, and you'll hear some stories later, so I'm not going to pass that on at this point. And I don't want to give a lot of detail because I want each of the kids to have their presentation here. So with that, Mr. Chair, I would like to turn over to our testifiers, and then I'll have some final comments when you are finished.
Excellent. Thank you, Representative Petersburg.
Before I do that, I did want to say, so I was contacted by the teacher saying that they had something to present to me, and so they presented me with this, which is a petition. It's 70 pages, and there's about 700 signatures on it from all over the state, even a few from outside of the state in other states, and they presented that with me as to something that they really worked on as a class and really put their heart and souls into it. And so we appreciate their work, appreciate what they've learned, and I hope that you will hear that in their pride as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to them. Chloe.
Thank you. Good morning, kids. Welcome to committee. Welcome to St. Paul. Thanks for all your work on this. If you would, when each of you gets up there, just state your name so we have it for the record, and you'll forever be a part of history once you do that. So. Okay.
My name is Chloe Beatty, and I'm here to represent Felix Arthur. On July 27th, 1898, marching bands led thousands of people to the highest point in downtown St. Paul, Minnesota. Hundreds of veterans, stonecutters, and other workers marched to the ribbon-draped speaker's stand. Here, the new Capitol was rising from the ground. Onlookers leaned over the partially finished first-floor walls.
My name is Chad Johnson. Among the many dignitaries was Minnesota's first territorial governor, Alexander Ramsey, to officially lay the cornerstone for the People's House, the grandest building in the state and one of the finest state house buildings in the country.
My name is Gabe Adams. The cornerstone was 5 feet long with a hollow core to hold a copper box. Into the box were placed more than 45 books, newspapers, photos, and documents, including histories of legislators and soldiers since the founding of the state. The names of the Capitol commissioners and architect Cass Gilbert, as well as his associates, were etched on a bronze plate.
But the box contained not a single name of a worker or contractor who erected the structure. Since construction began in 1896, hundreds of workers were drawn to this spot. They dug and laid the foundation and built the lower walls. Hundreds more came to work there through the building's completion in 1907.
I'm Katie Erkey. These people all came together to create this Minnesota treasure, but they have remained nameless. It is time to right this wrong. These workers have waited 119 years to be recognized for their contributions to our state.
I'm Lauren Bateman.
Last year in Mrs. Hanson's Minnesota Studies class, we helped to organize a letter writing campaign and obtained more than 700 signatures on a petition in hopes to secure a memorial for these men and women. We sent letters to Minnesota lawmakers to appropriate funds to erect a memorial or a plaque in the Minnesota State Capitol, recognizing the efforts of these people, especially those that lost their lives during the construction.
I am here to represent Felix Arthur. Felix Arthur was the first worker to lose his life while building the state capitol. He came north with the controversial white Georgia marble. On May 5th, 1898, Felix was working on a stone polishing machine when he got caught in the flywheel and died the next day in St. Joseph's Hospital in St. Paul.
I am here to represent John Biersack. John Biersack, a 36-year-old son of Bavarian immigrants, died in October 1898, a few days after he fell from a derrick.
I am here to represent Florian Zahner. On August 3, 1900, Florian Zahner, a 40-year-old German-born laborer, fell to his death while wheeling brick on scaffolding to be used in the pediment over truss number 1. On the House of Representatives, Florian fell to the ground and was killed. The wheelbarrow ran off the scaffolding, and in trying to keep it from falling, he fell to his death.
I am here to represent Alfred Magnusson. Alfred Magnusson, a 23-year-old Swedish stonemason, also fell to his death in 1900. Magnusson became the 4th death on the job when he fell while setting roof trusses over the Senate chamber.
I am here to represent Albert Swanson. Albert Swanson, a 20-year-old mold caster from Sweden, was killed in a strange accident. A passing wagon drove over a rope used to hoist material and scaffolding on which men stood. The rope pulled the scaffolding down with Albert Swanson and Frank Theory, and both plunged 40 feet. Swanson collided with timbers and died. Theory landed in a pile of sand and miraculously got away with only a broken leg. I'm here to represent John Corrigan. On June 25, 1903, John Corrigan, an 18-year-old laborer, fell 32 feet near the Senate chamber. The young man was just a week or two on the job at the state capitol when he fell to his death. John was the last fatal accident to occur at the state capitol building site.
And I'm Jen Hansen, 6th grade teacher, Willow Creek Intermediate, Owatonna. I'm here to represent my fantastic students with their inquisitive minds who are asking great questions. And I'm here to represent the other 90 students on this project that were not able to attend with us. Their efforts to memorialize the men and the women who built our state capitol. These students saw the beauty in the structure that was built to stand the test of time. They recognized the skill of the craftsmen, the masons, and the sculptors. And in a day and age where young people look at the new and the shiny, they saw the beauty in the old and the marvelous. They recognized the work of the men and the women from 119 years ago and wanted to recognize their contribution to the great state of Minnesota. We hope that you will support House File 2499, this bill, and help us to recognize those that are long gone, but to whom we are forever grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson, and thank you to each of you students for coming here again for your testimony today. You've now officially testified in an official House committee, so thank you very much. You all did an awesome, fantastic job. So thank you very much for the time that you took to memorialize these individuals and bring some history back to this historical place. Representative Petersburg.
They, as well as I, am certainly open to any questions that you might have about the bill. If not, I will have my closing comments.
Thank you, Representative Petersburg. Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Petersburg. Thank you for bringing this forward. As a carpenter and someone that walks through that building and just marvels at how it's been built and how it looks, and would love to have worked on a building like that. We don't build them like that anymore. It's a grand building, and thanks to all the kids here for bringing this issue forward. As you were talking about this, did you think about adding the current workers that are doing the major remodeling on that, as far as if they're going to put a plaque up honoring them also? I know the names are going to be for the people that passed away on that, but have you ever did you think about possibly adding that into the bill?
Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative Hans. At this point, the petition and so forth came about just in regards to the original construction. In consequential discussions with Historical Society and others, there has been some discussion about that, and I don't think that that may still happen. Again, because the parameters of this particular plaque is being designed and determined by the Historical Society as well as the board, that certainly could be added to the parameters of that. But I know the students were really looking at the history of the original building itself, and so they chose that particular area. But that certainly would be something that could be considered.
Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yeah, with the amount of work going on there, and, you know, hopefully 100 years from now, that, like I said, we're not going back and honoring the current workers, because they're basically reconstructing a lot of what was built. I know there's been articles and news reports on the front steps, and they opened them up, the amount of damage there, and the amount of work that's had to be done to that. Please give it some thought.
Thank you very much.
Any other member questions, thoughts, comments, discussion? Representative O'Driscoll.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Petersburg, in my 6 years here, I have not seen a group of testifiers more well-prepared to be able to address an issue in quite a long time in front of a committee, and that's hats off to you too, Ms. Hanson, for your work on preparing folks. My question is, where did you find the information about the individual workers? You know, a wheelbarrow, 32 feet, falling to death in this area, or the flywheel, dying at St. Joseph's Hospital. Where would we have gotten that information from?
Mr. Chair and Representative Driscoll, I'm going to turn that over to Chloe because I think she has the information for you.
Go ahead, Chloe.
We found the information for the workers that passed away making the Capitol. We looked it up on the internet most of the time, and we looked in books, and we found all of the resources we could to find how the workers were and how they died.
Thank you, Chloe. Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted at this, you know, we're talking about workers injured. I know the building trades every year has Workers' Memorial Day, and they have a presentation. Unfortunately, construction is very dangerous work, and every year we seem to lose 1 or 2 people in the trades that are injured on construction jobs. And so we do this every year. We honor the workers that passed away, and they do that at the Workers' Memorial that's in the Capitol. The lawn out front of the Capitol, there's a structure there that honors those people that have died in work.
Thank you.
Representative Tice.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Petersburg and group. I just, again, want to reiterate what Representative Nelson has said. Coming from the building and remodeling industry, it is really dangerous. But I think one of the things this really represents is how many folks really, it was fatal for them to build the existing structure. And when we look at the remodel that's happening now, we're seeing the advancements that have been made in the construction industry, and we're not hearing of all these deaths. So while I would like to reiterate what Representative Nelson has said in that, I hope that we can also maybe either move forward or find a way to add the folks that are working now. We're hoping not to add to the fatalities, but basically to the honor of the work that they do. That would be really a really nice step to do. It really is important for us to remember the folks that did give their lives to this wonderful structure. And I hope that you're able to make it next year when everybody can go through the Capitol again and see the wonderful work that has been done. So we'll look forward to seeing you next year, right? Thank you.
Representative Runback.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think I heard Representative Petersburg say that there were some parameters that are being formed up by the Capitol, Capitol Architectural Board. So could you just confirm exactly then what they're going to do at this point with the design parameters?
Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Chair, as well as Representative Renback. Yes, you'll notice in Part B of that discussion there, it talks about the Capital Area Architectural and Planning Board, and I also understanding we need to pull the Historical Society into that because they are the ones that really control how this preservation is occurring and so forth. It was felt that they should be the ones that would set the parameters, understanding maybe where the location is going to be and so forth, so that those that are in charge of the Capitol will have the final say over how the design and stuff may occur. We felt it was unrealistic to ask for the sixth graders to put together a design if we didn't give them the parameters from which to work with. And so we have I really asked that they set that parameter and also determine how the contest was going to be worked throughout the state, feeling that this gives an opportunity for all sixth graders across the state who aren't able to come to the Capitol for field trips and so forth, still be involved with what's happening at the Capitol, to learn more about how bills are made and so forth, and continue on the great work that the Historical Society and others do in this particular Capitol building.
Thank you.
Representative Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to the students themselves, I'm sure you're making plans for attending the commemoration of the plaque itself, and I look forward to that. And to the point, Representative Petersburg, if you could just expand a little bit on the contest itself in terms of the timeline for the rollout of that, and when, if there's any identification in terms of when the plaque will actually be installed.
Representative Petersburg.
Mr. Chair and Representative Albright, it is designed that the board would make the decision by January 1 of 2017 with enough time in order to actually get it created and put in place, understanding that the Capitol will be open for the public January 1st, but that there will be a few ongoing minor adjustments and additions done throughout at least the first 6 months of 17, gives us an opportunity to get it done by the time full completion of the Capitol is being done. So that is our hope, and it would certainly be up to the parameters of the board to decide that. The legislation here, it says that it has to be done by that date, not that it can't be done earlier if they so choose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Joachim.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It really is nice to see in all the work that you did, and for your teacher for thinking of a creative way to keep you engaged in the Capitol, even though you couldn't visit. I noticed you came up, I think you had something more to add about how you guys did the research, if you want to let us know.
Mrs. Hanson said that we should go on Who Built Our State Capitol website, and she was helping with building and making the website. So we were researching on that website to find a lot of information.
Representative Joachim.
Thank you.
Representative Pugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll just start with Representative Petersburg. This was a great bill. I'm just so delighted. I can't recall a more fun hearing, and to the students, I'm just so impressed with your presentation, and I learned so much from each and every one of you and what you shared, and I'm sure that all Minnesotans who may be watching anything that was captured here today will have as well. And to the teacher, Ms. Hanson, just so wonderful. You know, what inspiration you've offered your students. History is so important. I happen to have, unfortunately, only 4, but I'm working on securing more right now. But I have a pin that I would like to present to each of your students, and it's from the Minnesota Historical Society. And I'm not certain if anyone is here from the History Center or the Historical Society, one of our state agencies, but when they hear about your involvement in this project, they're going to be really impressed as well. So it's a little pin of the state capitol, and would very much like to encourage you to come back here next year, and we'll welcome you back. So if I could have a page, grab these, that'd be great.
Do you have anything to add, sir?
I do. This has been a great experience. I'd like to thank Chloe for asking this question that rose this big occasion. And I'd like to thank Ms. Hanson for setting this all up. It's actually been really fun. I mean, I thought I was gonna be nervous, but I mean, it flew by. I'd also like to thank everyone here. I mean, even you guys. I think. I think this is a very serious topic because death is a very serious thing, and I'm glad you all see that a memorial is very well deserved. So thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Any final member questions or discussion? Is there any other testimony in the audience for or against the bill? Seeing none, Representative Petersburg will give you closing comments.
How do I follow that up? I just ask for your
I
support.
wouldn't if I was you.
And thank you for allowing us to testify. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you again, students, very much for your time and testimony today. It meant a great deal to us and to the state of Minnesota, so thank you for that. With that, members, I will renew my motion that House File 2270 be referred to the Committee on State Government Finance as amended. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is approved. House File 2270 is on its way to State Government Finance.
Thank you.
Thank you.